This week isn't just big, it's game-changing. General Hospital.
The next chapter of General Hospital promises danger, heartbreak, and emotional revelations as the people of Port Charles face decisions that could change their lives forever. The episode, airing Monday, March 16th, 2026, brings together powerful alliances, rising suspicions, and heartfelt confessions. For some, it will be a moment of loyalty and courage. For others, it will spark outrage, uncertainty, and deeply personal choices. Jason's dangerous farewell. For Jason Morgan, the time has come to leave Port Charles once again. But this departure is not simply another quiet exit. It is wrapped in tension, secrets, and a vow that could ignite a dangerous chain of events. Jason has spent the past several days preparing for the moment he would say goodbye to the people who matter most to him. Each conversation has carried emotional weight. He spoke with Tracy Quartermain, who tried to mask her concern behind her usual sharp wit. She knew Jason rarely makes decisions lightly, and his determination suggested something serious was unfolding behind the scenes. Then there was Alexis Davis, whose analytical mind tried to read between the lines of Jason's words. Even while discussing legal strategies and family matters, she sensed Jason was quietly preparing for something dangerous. Jason also visited Michael Corinthos, wanting to make sure his son Danny would be looked after if things went wrong. It was a subtle but meaningful conversation, one that carried the unspoken possibility that Jason might not return anytime soon. But perhaps the most emotional farewell came when Jason spoke with Carly Spencer. Carly has always trusted Jason more than almost anyone else in her life, and their bond has survived decades of chaos. In that quiet moment together, Jason reassured her that he believed in her judgment, even though she was relying on Valentine Cassadine to help rescue Jocelyn Jacks from the dangerous world of the WSB. Jason knows how risky that alliance is, yet he chose to trust Carly. Still, there was one final conversation he needed to have before leaving town. A vow between brothers. Jason meets with Sonny Corinthos, the man who has stood beside him through countless battles. Their friendship has been tested many times, but when danger threatens Port Charles, the two always find their way back to the same side. This meeting, however, carries an unmistakable edge. During the preview of the previous episode, Jason makes a chilling promise. He tells Sonny that before leaving town, he intends to eliminate someone who has become a serious threat. The target? Most signs point toward Sidwell. Sidwell has been gaining power in Port Charles at an alarming rate. His schemes have stretched into nearly every corner of the city, manipulating people, businesses, and even the political structure. His partnership with Cullum has only made the situation more volatile. For months, Sidwell has managed to outmaneuver his enemies. He has humiliated Sonny, disrupted major businesses, and even managed to compromise the reputation of Laura Collins, the town's respected mayor. Jason knows that leaving Port Charles without dealing with Sidwell could mean disaster for everyone he cares about. And so, standing beside Sonny, Jason makes a vow. If he's leaving town, he's going to make sure Sidwell can't hurt anyone ever again. Sonny understands the seriousness of Jason's words. He also knows that a move like this could ignite a full-scale war. Yet part of him believes it might be the only way to finally stop the man who has been poisoning Port Charles from the shadows. Portia's shocking discovery. While danger brews in darker corners of the city, an entirely different storm is beginning at Marta and Chloe's nail salon. Inside the salon, Portia Robinson and Jordan Ashford find themselves sharing an unexpectedly tense moment. Their rivalry has simmered for years, largely because of their complicated connections to Curtis Ashford. But on this particular day, the tension takes an unexpected turn. Jordan suddenly looks pale. Within seconds, she excuses herself and rushes toward the restroom, clearly feeling sick. Portia watches closely. The moment feels strangely familiar. Her mind immediately flashes back to a past gathering at the Quartermain estate when she herself experienced a wave of nausea that turned out to mean something life-changing. And suddenly, a shocking thought enters Portia's mind. What if Jordan is pregnant? The possibility sends a surge of outrage through Portia. Because if Jordan is expecting a child, the father could only be Curtis. The realization hits Portia like a lightning bolt. Her voice fills with disbelief as she blurts out the words that perfectly capture the chaos of the moment. "You have got to be kidding me." The situation could mean something almost unthinkable. Two women carrying Curtis's child at the same time. For Portia, the emotional shock quickly transforms into anger. She is not ready to accept this possibility. Not even close. Curtis tries to reassure Trina. Meanwhile, Curtis Ashford is dealing with a different challenge, comforting his daughter, Trina Robinson. Trina has always admired her father's strength, but lately the constant drama surrounding their family has been wearing her down. Curtis tries to reassure her that everything will work out. He promises that their family will find stability again. But even as he speaks those words, there is uncertainty in his voice. Because if Jordan truly is pregnant, Curtis's entire world could be turned upside down. His promises to Trina might suddenly become impossible to keep. And that thought terrifies him. Tracy confronts Laura. Elsewhere in Port Charles, Tracy Quartermain decides it's time to take action. Tracy is not someone who sits quietly while chaos spreads around her. And recently, she's become increasingly frustrated with the growing influence of Sidwell. His involvement in deception and other major ventures has made him nearly impossible to ignore. So Tracy seeks out Laura Collins, hoping the mayor will finally take a stand against the man who has been manipulating the town. What Tracy doesn't realize is that Laura herself has become entangled in Sidwell's web. Sidwell's schemes have placed Laura in a difficult and compromised position, leaving her struggling to maintain her credibility and authority. If Tracy pushes too hard for answers, she may uncover a truth that shakes her confidence in Port Charles' leadership. But Tracy has never been afraid of uncomfortable truths. And once she starts asking questions, it's unlikely she'll stop until she gets the answers she wants. Cody opens his heart to Molly. Amid all the tension and power struggles, another deeply emotional story unfolds. Cody Bell and Molly Lansing Davis have been struggling with a painful situation that neither of them fully understands. Molly recently suffered a severe flare-up of her endometriosis, a condition that has caused her immense physical and emotional stress. During one particularly frightening moment, Molly fainted in front of Cody. He immediately rushed her to the hospital, terrified for her safety. But the experience also left Cody feeling uncertain. He realized he didn't fully understand what Molly was going through, and that made him worry that he might not be able to support her in the way she needed. Over the past several days, Cody has spent time researching the condition, trying to learn as much as he can. Now, he finally feels ready to speak from the heart. When he sits down with Molly, he tells her exactly where he stands. He admits that he was scared and confused at first. But he also tells her something far more important. He's not going anywhere. Cody promises that he wants to be there for Molly, even when things are difficult or complicated. His words are gentle, sincere, and filled with compassion. For Molly, hearing that kind of unconditional support means everything. In a world where so many relationships in Port Charles are defined by betrayal and secrets, Cody's honesty feels like a rare and precious gift. Port Charles on the edge. By the time the episode reaches its final moments, it becomes clear that Port Charles is standing on the brink of major change. Jason's vow could spark a violent confrontation that reshapes the city's power structure. Portia's shocking suspicion could ignite a deeply personal conflict involving Curtis and Jordan. Tracy's determination to confront Laura could expose hidden truths about Sidwell's growing influence. And Cody's heartfelt declaration may mark the beginning of a stronger, more resilient relationship with Molly. Each storyline is moving toward a turning point, and once those turning points arrive, nothing in Port Charles will ever be the same again. Because in General Hospital, even the smallest decisions can lead to life-altering consequences. And on this unforgettable Monday, every vow, every suspicion, and every heartfelt confession brings the residents of Port Charles one step closer to the storm that awaits them.